please give them a round of applause. Our verbal critiquer, Berklee, please come forward to the stage.
Hi, John. Nice work with this group, especially integrating the what would be considered non-traditional material and the players, and then expanding on the written chart to include more players than the arranger might have thought might have jumped into solo. I think that was really very nice. Well, okay. Nice job. So, I'm just listening to this one performance. I recognize that you've had, as much practice time as you've had, and you're coming to here and playing this one time. So there's a lot of stuff that was really good. If I can just work backwards since you were just there. I think that when we're trading solos like that, it's good to not leave those little gaps in between your statements. It's okay to have some overlap. You don't have to go and come right in. If you listen to, you guys are like Troy, right? So go down to the beat shop, listen to some of the stuff down there that he's got on vinyl. He's got some great big band stuff in there. And just listen to what they did. They never just stopped on one. They would lead into one, maybe end of 4/4, taking an idea that the previous soloist had just given them, and then they would develop that or add something brand new, and then the next person would jump right in. Sometimes, I know the effect was great, because on the original recording, obviously it's all electronic, and the synths come in and it gets bigger and bigger. And you were doing that same thing, but then those little moments of silence kind of deflated that build, and we had to start again, and then come back up. So that, made sure that that's something you consider when you're doing this. Doing the piano solo, nice job on the drums. You came down, so we could clearly hear the piano solo. Excellent. Your guitar solo was audible, but when you were playing as part of the ensemble, you looked like you were Marcel and Rousseau. I couldn't hear a thing. So make sure that if you are going to play a melody line with the ensemble, we get that guitar timbre into what's happening in that. It's very, very nice. Good. Okay, so those are my little. I'll leave this with you if you can read my handwriting too when I'm done. That's fine. Nice. On Dreamsville, I really liked the soloist coming out front. I'd like to encourage you to memorize that stuff. When we go and see a band play and the soloist comes out front, I know that's a little bit of extra stuff. It's not just playing over a blues form or over rhythm changes, but it'd be nice to be able to add that to your repertoire for that. When the rhythm section was playing before you came up front, you were great. But I didn't get a sense that you were aware that all of a sudden you were just backing up a single soloist. You were still playing like you were backing up the full big band. There was no change in level. It didn't open up. It didn't become airy. There wasn't I know you had that 16th note figure that you had to play, but still there wasn't a lightness that indicated, okay, now we're a small band. Probably the most challenging thing for rhythm section players in a big band is to realize that when the soloist comes up, you're now an intimate jazz quintet in a club somewhere. And you've got to make that adjustment to sound like that, and then you can come back up. There was no change when the ensemble came back in. You were still at exactly the same level you were when the soloist. Now after that, when you came down, that was great. So I know you can do it. It's a matter of looking at these, nice opportunities for you to be able to come in and make that happen. There was, some intonation issues in the low end of Birdland at the beginning. Don't worry about that. That'll come to the next performance. That'll be better. Let's see. There was a really good full sound at 59 in Dreamsville. That was excellent. That was very nice. It came up. It was rich. It was nicely balanced all the way through. I will say that in Dreamsville, there's places where. When did I have this? Before 13. There's places where there's ensembles that have half notes, like the lower parts have half notes and the upper parts have a moving line. The half notes are not nearly as important as the moving line, and I tended to hear the half notes much more than I heard the moving line. So if you're holding a note, like a half note or even a dotted quarter note, and there's other people in your section that are moving, unfortunately that long note is not as important, even though it's easier to play. You got it. But if you bring that down so the moving lines can come over on top of that, there'll be much more motion in the ensemble. Nice matching of timbre in the front row here. My E flat section. Oh, you're sticking in there B flats in the front. Okay, that's fine. Good job. I thought you were in that back section. And then let's see. On the I know I'm trying to rush. I have a limited amount of time. So on Cottontail, there's places where you have hits at the end of a phrase, like it's accented. But and I'm not getting that second accented note. They sound kind of equal. Da 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 da. They should build to that accent point. As many of those as you can catch, even though I know it's not written in your drum music. That would be great to be able to have that happen. In that particular song, there was a tendency to drop the tempo just a little bit after the solo fills. The break would be back at this other tempo. So, and it wasn't like it got noticeably slower, but there was an excitement that was happening. You might want to kind of go with that sometimes. Again, that's just one person's opinion. I might suggest, and I say this to everybody, but to John as well, that you might want to have, since you have so many chordal instruments, and you had a nice parade of soloists, nice different ideas, that you have a different rhythm section, chordal instrument, be the primary comper, rather than pretty much piano had that role all the way. We could have had, vibes could have comped, guitar could have come up and comped in that. It was especially challenging. You did a nice job on this. I don't know which piano, when you came in from your